stop anyone. So it's good that Dallas was able to get things clicking at some point to get into the game. But I think it's more an indictment of the defense that Atlanta ran it up on them so easily.
Yeah, I'm having all kinds of internet problems. Sorry, Sammy. I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm gonna try it one more time. If it's
Yeah,
still...
no, I'm kind of getting a lag on my end too.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Hold on. Well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna disconnect from my internet and then I'll come back.
All right, cool.
Yo.
Yo.
It was on like a lower power internet for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay, so I think this will probably help. We've gotten kicked off like 3 fucking times.
Fourth time's the charm.
Alright, looks like it's working now. Yeah. I don't know what was going on. I had shitty internet connected to it. I had a good Vikings rant. It's gone forever. We already talked about a few games. So if you missed it, I'm sorry. But we we have to continue. So recap: Vikings stink. Titans, are looking like pretty good. We just talked about the Cowboys and how it's going to be, their hair's falling out if they lose. Broncos Steelers. Drew Lock, the guy who was the lock to be the quarterback, went down. Jeff Driscoll, Mr. Gatorade All-American, Mr. Could Never Do It beyond maybe some college. He's in there slinging it, and he's keeping them in the game. Steelers do have the ball, but... So, what's a bigger story? Steelers 2-0 or Driscoll outplaying Drew Lock, who looks like E from Entourage? I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
One of the best shows ever made, so don't ever question my
Does he
taste.
look like E? He looks like E, doesn't he?
He definitely looks like like a taller, athletic
yeah,
version
exactly.
of E.
Like a more handsome E, basically. Yeah, a more believable E. And he was so there's no way this short little redhead guy's scoring all these chicks. Anyway, the question.
If you're Vinny Chase's manager, you definitely
are. Oh yeah.
Well, best friend / manager. But yeah, of course, Vinny Chase,
right.
the greatest fictional character ever, aka Mark Wahlberg. But anyways, to get back on topic, I'm more surprised that the Steelers go 0-2. I mean, you don't prepare for Jeff Driscoll if you're their defense.
The Steelers are going 2-0. You said 0-2.
Oh, 2-0. Oh, if they win, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm still going with the more surprising thing being the Steelers 2-0 because that was just more of a random insert with Jeff Driscoll. I don't really think he's the story he's asked. Him and Drew Lock don't necessarily play similarly, so that's probably why he looked a little bit better than expected. But the Steelers starting off 2-0 with Big Ben coming back, I think is the bigger story simply because there's some competition in the AFC North, and that Claypool touchdown, he looked like a beast out there. So if you have somebody opposite of Juju Schuster,
Notre Dame.
You have something there. Definitely Notre Dame product. I went no fucking Miles Boykin to do something like that, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, shout out to Claypool. And the bigger story is definitely the 2-0 versus Denver's backup quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's playing his way into a starting spot.
Wow.
He looked way better than Locke. I mean, Locke couldn't get it done.
That's
punk.
true.
He's a punk.
Yeah, we're done with Drew already.
I'm done with a lot of quarterbacks, apparently. It doesn't matter. I'm done with everybody. So we have the Bucks, Panthers. Panthers looked bad. Tampa Bay didn't look too dominating because they still had some mistakes. Tampa, or Tom, I don't know. What do you call Tom now?
Yeah, I mean, I normally stick with Thomas, but you got Tampa.
Tampa. I don't know. That sounds kind of weird, but he was 23 for 35, 217, 1 TD. Leonard Fournette finally had his basically coming out party with the Bucks. He had 103 yards on 12 carries, averaging 8.6, 2 touchdowns, longest of 46. Shady McCoy, -5 yards. Poor guy. They held Christian McCaffrey he still had 2 touchdowns, but only 59 yards rushing, 29 yards receiving. The defense is starting to heat up. The offense is starting to heat up. I don't know. I feel bad that Carolina, because Carolina looked way better than this last week, or maybe the Raiders just aren't that good.
Yeah, they called the team desperate of a win in Tampa, so it's more of a buzzsaw. But they put up some fight towards the end of the game. Never really made it competitive. Christian McCaffrey actually suffered an injury, so that's going to be the storyline of this Sunday, at least the beginning. Knock on wood that we don't see any other major injuries to the later games. But yeah, man, you got to figure out what you're going to do. A lot of these teams, because there's some guys who are some big guys who are out right now.
Yeah, and we can get into that. I mean, it's basically Bloody Sunday. There's a huge list. I had it up, and injury. But, I mean, it's over 15 guys, I think, now. Like, it's pretty crazy. Let's see here. Sunday. Nope, it's not showing. But, anyway, I think the biggest one is Saquon Barkley. They're saying it's a torn ACL. Didn't look. I mean, I thought he injured his elbow the way he fell, but if he's ACL, I feel bad for him and anybody who drafted him in fantasy.
Yeah, because he went top 5, maybe even top 3.
Yeah.
But with that being said, like you said, I thought it was the arm at first too, but he actually injured the arm, came back in the end of the game, and that's when he hurt the knee. So it's going to be some interesting. What do they call it? Armchair quarterbacking or
Yeah.
whatever they call it, reservations as far as why did he go back into the game after being injured. But it really just looked more like some fluky shit as far as guys trying to battle for extra yardage, being tackled by multiple guys, and I'm just falling down on that knee incorrectly. But he's definitely the biggest name. But there were some other guys who went down, and you're just like, man, what the fuck is going on?
All right, I got the list. This was as of an hour ago. Okay, so we talked about Saquon. Sterling Shepard went out. Jimmy Garoppolo went out. Nick Bosa went out. I mean, Nick Bosa, that's maybe one of the best defensive ends. He's out. Solomon Thomas out. Raheem Mostert out. Drew Lock, who we talked about, is out. Colts, Paris Campbell out. Colts safety Malik Hooker out. Vikings Anthony Barr and Mike Boone out. Rams Cam Akers out. Jets Brashard Perriman, he's out. Who would have thought that? That guy's, beacon of health. That was a joke. Quincy Wilson from the Jets is out. Falcons right tackle Caleb McGarry out. Dolphins Byron Jones out. Holy shit. I mean, everyone's saying they've never seen something like this where that many players get hurt. Is this dude? I mean, here comes the water cooler talk.
Don't say it.
Here comes the water cooler talk. Ready for it?
Don't say
Was
it.
it because there wasn't a preseason?
You fucking said it.
And then we're going to add the dun 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 music. This will be one of the promos. But, Sammy, what do you think of all these injuries?
I think it has nothing to do with the fucking preseason. Because before this fucking pandemic and before all of this bullshit, they were getting rid of 2 preseason games anyway. And the only thing that people can talk about on television is, do we need the fucking preseason? No one needs it. The players barely play. I don't want to hear anybody on fucking television, and I already know that I am, say, or even online, that this is due to no preseason. This is just more so how football is played. Guys can get hit and hurt at any moment. Please don't give the preseason merit after we spent my almost entire life tearing it down.
And another thing, you think these players would rather get injured in a real game than as opposed to a preseason game? Maybe there's some contract stipulations with that. They can't even make it to the season, Look, we're going to have dings, we're going to have dunks, we're going to have all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a little shocking. All these happen, but, I don't really think it has to do with anything. I mean, maybe it does, that there was COVID and maybe athletes couldn't stay in the shape that they were supposed to stay in. Maybe they tried, maybe, but it was hard. I understand. So maybe it's an adaptation, maybe it's not. That's football, baby.
Yeah, and then also you would want guys to get hurt in the beginning of the season versus the end. The end of the season is a lot more important than the beginning, simply because it leads you into the second season being the playoffs. So definitely a number that you take a look at and you're like, wow, these are a lot of guys and these are a lot of names that fans recognize. So that may be a little shocking, but not shocking enough for me to long for the preseason. It just doesn't make any sense.
Before we get to tonight's games, we'll talk about Bengals Browns. Joe Burrow got the shit kicked out of him in that game. I mean, he got hit hard a lot of times. Threw it 61 times, 3 touchdowns, 316 yards, no picks. In the Browns barely beat them by 5 points, 35-30. Joe Burrow, I think he's the real deal. I'm rooting for him. The Browns, when you have two great running backs like that, it's almost too easy. Obviously, their defense isn't as good as we thought on the Browns, but could be trouble for your boy Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's never been my boy ever in my life. And
You call him your boy.
Joey B, like I told you before the second half of that game concluded, is better than Baker Mayfield. Is his team better? No. So definitely learned a lot as far as the toughness of Joe Burrow. I don't know if we're going to learn too much more than that with the talent that he has around him, even the AJ Green, who's kind of on the other side of the hill that people aren't really discussing because he's such a good guy and a great receiver. John Ross, the little speeds guy who's fast but never catches any balls. I mean, you have Boyd who makes plays, but I don't think there's enough around him, especially on the defensive end, for any of Joe Burrow's talents to shine. If you're Baker Mayfield, he seemed a little bit restrained after that win when he could have took a moment to lift himself up and do the narcissistic thing, which is talk shit. So he seemed a bit restrained, which hopefully he's learning. I'm still hearing Odell trade rumors, so I don't understand this. They say if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. They have two running backs, so what the fuck do they have? Definitely not enough because Kareem Hunt is a starter. He's a star. He already proved that in Kansas City before he couldn't keep his hands off white girls in hotel hallways. And Nick Chubb is a beast.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of hearing they're the best combination in football because with that being said, the best combination in football and running backs is on the Cleveland Browns. So what does that mean? They can't play defense? Is Baker really that trash because it can't be the receiver? So how do you have two arguably of the top 10 skill positions in each of skill position, wide receiver and running back, and you can only beat the Bengals by 5? I don't really know how to call that.
Yeah, it's a question mark. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined for 210 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, it's fantastic. You don't have to throw for 300 yards if you're Baker Mayfield. I don't know. Can Baker Mayfield be okay, and can he take the heat for only throwing the ball 20, 25, maybe 30 times a game? He's going to get, he's got some diva, wide receiver, Odell Beckham. So if he's not going to throw as much, and if every pass is going to count, I don't know if that's going to add more pressure to Baker or if it's going to make it easier for him. But I hope it makes it hard for him. He's kind of a punk. He needs to get in his place a little bit. So he's another quarterback I'm done with, Sammy. I think that makes it 3. Kirk Cousins. Who was the second guy? I was done with someone else. Drew Lock. He's done, and now Baker. He's done.
Put it on tape.
So your Baltimore Ravens. I think they're on right now, right?
Oh yeah, we just got kicked off 3 minutes in. Might have scored already. You know how we do things.
Yeah, Ravens Texans is on right now. Chargers Chiefs. Washington Cardinals. I'm definitely going to check this game out once we're done. Cardinals are kind of a fun team to root for. And Washington's a fun team to root for too. But Kyler Murray looks so good in that last game. And Washington, that was just an emotional win. I don't think they're going to be able to do that at the Cardinals. But I don't know. That's my game to pick. What's your game to pick, Sammy? If you had to pick one later on to watch.
I don't know if you could tell about what's on my chest right now, but yeah, I'm checking out the greatest quarterback in the league right now. I'm talking my big shit right now. Shout out to Patrick Mahomes, but Lamar Jackson is coming for you. This is a statement game right here. Every game is a statement game when you have team pundits preseason picking you to go 16-0, and everybody loves you as a trendy Super Bowl pick. So we need to kick the Houston Texans ass. I love Deshaun Watson. Savage Life, you sent me one of the greatest text messages I received this year earlier before the games kicked off, talking about how black the quarterback position is becoming in the NFL. A lot of these guys are young. Cam is in the prime of his career. I could say all of those games, but obviously you see what's on my chest. This is a big game for the Ravens. They got to come out. We beat them 41-7 last game. Not going to say it's going to be that kind of ass whooping, but we need something similar to let the league know that we don't fear Kansas City or anyone else. Hopefully, Deshaun can get his fantasy owner something popping. But at the same time, it's looking like we also got one of the better defenses in the league. I'm gonna start talking about Baltimore because you know we the shit. Everybody know we the shit. So I sound like somebody that I'm not. And that's the part. You know my resume. Everybody know my resume. But yeah, it's Ravens all day.
The text Sammy's talking about. I saw this today on Twitter. It was the most ever matchups between black starting quarterbacks. It's Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton versus Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray versus Dwayne Haskins, Patrick Mahomes versus Tyrod Taylor. Does he prefer Tyrod? Everyone called him Tyrod forever, and then he's like, oh, it's Tyrod.
Yeah, he switches that up.
I'm Garrett. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, we got a live show update. I see Blaine Gabbert on the not Blaine Gabbert. I tried the man actually. What's my man out of Oregon?
Oh,
the rookie.
Yeah, tall dude, Gumby, whatever his name is.
Wow, we call him Gumby, and we can't even come up with his name right now. That's because he's not good. Justin Herbert.
There we go.
Justin Herbert. I hope you have a better career than how we just had introducing your career, because that was not it. Also, shout out to the NFL for not letting black quarterbacks live. They were not going to let that happen. Conspiracy alert. That's why Tyrod Taylor's not playing, or he could have got hurt. I don't know. But Justin Herbert's live in the game right now, shutting down all the black love we had going.
Well, that's bullshit. College football.
But good luck to him, though.
Notre Dame rolled. I mean, come on. Was there any? They look good. I mean, their style of play isn't going to win them.
Wait. Are you hopping off of Florida State and onto Notre Dame? Like, are you switching out? What?
I was going to get to that, Sammy. Can I have one thing? I can't have anything. Like, all my teams suck but one. And I just want to bring that up to because I'm wearing the shirt.
I'm just saying we got back-to-back Notre Dame love. I mean, you give a lot of Notre Dame love on the sports.
You have to. I'm stuck on an island. Notre Dame is my Wilson. I have nothing else, Sammy. I have nothing else. So anyway, they steamrolled USF. And before I was so rudely interrupted. I like Notre Dame's offense, but it's a power run offense. Like, when we run into an SEC team, or you run into Clemson, can Ian Book, who's almost digressed, when he first came out, he won them a bowl game. Like, he was like, then he played the next year, he was all right. And he comes back, and he's not great. He's like a Walmart Jimmy Garoppolo. He's kind of a handsome guy, but he's not, he's not John Elway or anything like that. He's got a great offensive line. But I don't know. I mean, it's only been 2 games, so it's hard to tell. But I really hope they go to the playoffs. I think they can make a push just because their offensive line and defense are pretty dominant.
Yeah, but we also want to pay attention to that sneaky topic in college football called strength of schedule. Right. So USF is not good. They had a good first week, but what is a promising showing for Notre Dame is that they're handling business. So it isn't, a 2-touchdown or 3-touchdown win. They're beating USF by 40 points, and they're shutting them out. So once, like you say, a real deal challenge comes along, we'll really see who our Book is. But all signs are a go right now. So I can understand why you flexing proud and all the fighting Irish.
Speaking of big-time games, they got to play FSU. That's going to be a hard one. Louisville looks like a real team. They went to the wire against Miami. They got to play. They get Clemson at home. And that's going to be a big time. That's going to determine a lot in the college football landscape. If Clemson loses, I mean, that might be it for them. Because the ACC, it's never UNC's, and they got to play UNC. So if Notre Dame can win out, or at least win 11 games, especially the games that count, I think they got a shot. So we'll dump on FSU. So they could only lose in a bye week, Sammy, and this is how they lost. Georgia Tech got crushed by UCF, and I knew they would. And I was talking with some of my other friends, and I was just like, it's gonna look so bad when UCF just beats the shit out of Georgia Tech. It's just gonna make us look even worse. And maybe it wasn't that big of an ass kicking, but it was a very convincing win.
Yeah, for us to put up 49 points and for Florida State to put up 14, that's normally flip-flop, right? History shows Florida State puts up 49 on Georgia Tech and UCF puts up 14. So my have the times have changed. I don't really know anything other to say than UCF needs to be led into a Power Five conference, preferably the ACC. But I don't know how many years they have to beat up on teams not named Memphis and Houston to get a shot. And they beat Memphis and Houston pretty consistently too in the past 4 to 5 years. So definitely a good win for Central Florida. As far as to make that statement, because the country saw what Florida State did versus what UCF did. But yeah, other than that, I don't know what's going on up there in Tallahassee.
In another way, and it's not even his fault. Mike Norvell tests positive for COVID-19 and will be unable to coach at Miami next week. When it's just like, and we're gonna probably get crushed by Miami. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen enough that's gonna give me any confidence going into this game. Then we have Jacksonville State, where we might get a win, and then we play Notre Dame, and then
Wow.
UNC, and then Louisville, and then Pitt. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 ranked opponents in a row. NC State, then Clemson. That's 5 out of 6. Always next
Did you
season,
just say that
baby.
you guys might win against Jackson State? That was really disrespectful. Like I heard.
I
that
said
you
what I
won
said,
that.
Sammy. I'm on the cliff. I'm on the edge. I'm like that guy on the edge. I'm gonna jump. Like just let me say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna lose it. SEC finally starts next week. It means more in the South because it does. They have the best teams. Sammy, I haven't really heard a lot of talk about Bama, but they probably are the darling to win it. Georgia's good. A lot of people are blowing Florida for whatever reason. What's your take on the SEC coming up?
Man, I think you got one of the best takes in our recent show history. No one's talking about Alabama. I literally just thought about that. Obviously, they're going to have professional talent on the roster, but as far as the hype machine or the media machine, you haven't really been hearing a lot about the Crimson Tide, and that may have to do with something behind center. I literally don't know who their starting quarterback is. If they bring that guy back that played last year, there is some trouble because he didn't look like he was ready, or is Tua brother going to get a shot? I don't know. But with the question marks Alabama has, like you say, with the hype out of Florida, could this be a year for Georgia? As far as any of the Eastern teams, Auburn, for some reason, always plays Alabama pretty tough and plays the SEC pretty tough. But this may be up for grabs because, like you said, man, I haven't really been hearing too much about Alabama this year. Normally, that's all anybody wants to fucking talk about.
It's gonna be down to Tua's brother and Bryce Young. Bryce Young, I watched. It's like one of the All-American games for the high school kids. He wasn't
Yeah.
that tall. He was Kyler Murray-esque. We've been talking about this. He was by far, as a 5'10", 180-pound dude, the best athlete on the field. And it was evident. And this was in an all-star game. He was making fabulous throws. He's a great athlete. So, of course, Alabama gets these embarrassment of riches. How good is Tua's brother, though? I mean, he kind of came out of nowhere, Like, I don't know how good he is. I don't know what he did to break. I don't know if he broke records or anything like that. Another nepotism case we have here. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone thinks Florida is gonna make the push, or LSU
Are we
might come back.
are we disrespecting them out there? Are we disrespecting national champions? Because I didn't hear anything about LSU either.
LSU is 6th on the AP poll.
So maybe not. Now they
Florida's
top five.
Florida's
They lost a lot
5.
of guys.
Georgia's 4. Alabama's 2. So that's 3 teams in the top 5, Sammy. And then there's 6 teams in the top, or 4 teams in the top 6. No, even more than that. I'm bad at math. I'm just gonna stop. Here's the top 10, Sammy. Texas A&M, SEC. Auburn, SEC. LSU, Florida, Georgia, Alabama. So yeah, I don't know. It's Clemson's to win, I guess. Tank for Trevor. I don't know who's getting them now. Probably the Jets. They look terrible.
Yeah, Trey Sam Darnold talks already. Man, what's going on, Sam?
Poor Sam. Well, probably because Joe Burrow's looking really good, and some of these other quarterbacks that he was drafted with, like the guy in the Bills, Mr. Rocket Arm, he looks good. But he doesn't really have that much talent in the Jets. And the Jets, Adam Gase, Mr. Crazy Eyes. I wouldn't want that guy as my head coach. Like he's a creep. But
Yeah, I don't see how he keeps his job after this, other than the owner of the Jets is a Trump supporter, so he's not that smart. But Gates is terrible, and he's proven Jamal Adams right. He may be ruining Sam Darnold's career because he goes from seeing ghosts to not being able to make the simplest completions to your open receivers. So yeah, the Jets are a dumpster fire. Shout out to Rich Eisen because he seems like an alright dude, but he's gonna be crying for like the whole season on his fucking show. So I'm probably not gonna watch that much
oh,
because he's not gonna be able
is
to
he
help
an
himself.
Adam Gase guy?
No, Rich Eisen, he's a fucking Jets guy. So
Oh,
he's a pretty good dude, but when he's down, which is like all the time because the fucking
he's
Jets suck,
emotional.
it's pretty similar to Greenberg.
Oh no, Eisen's not as bad as Greenberg. Greenberg's the worst out of them all. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
With the Jet talk though, with their fandom,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
they're
well,
so sad.
sucks to be them.
It's sad.
Sammy. Not only am I pissed off, someone else is pissed off. You know what I'm talking about?
Talking about the Wash King, yeah.
The Wash King. They're not putting any spec on my boy. They're not. They're not. It's just not at all. LeBron James. I'm pissed. He didn't get the MVP. Went to Giannis Antetokounmpo, second straight time, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sammy. Did it go to the right guy?
Yes, it did. It's a regular season award, and Giannis was the best player on the best team in the regular season. So you can't move the goalposts to who is the better player as far as individual. You can't ignore the people that are around them, and you can't ignore the circumstances. So the NBA should save themselves a lot of slack and just give the awards away at the end of the regular season if they have nothing to do with the postseason. Or if you're going to have a most valuable player of the league and you're going to have it towards the end of the season, then they're going to have to include what happens in the playoffs. And if you're an MVP and you get knocked out early, then that should be, or if you're in the MVP race and you get knocked out early, then you should be held accountable. But you can't kind of have it both ways where you get to build up the suspense throughout the playoffs. But at the same time, you leave players hanging out to dry when they have early exits, and that makes you tank everything that they did for the 82 games that supposedly the award is about. So I feel like if we gave it away before the playoffs starts, it's a no-brainer. LeBron James is still probably pissed, but he can't come out and throw so much shade in a fucking press conference if you rip the Band-Aid off early. It was all shade. It was all shade.
Speaking of Lake Show, up 1-0 on the Nuggets. I thought they were gonna do another gentleman sweep, another 4-1. Now it's probably looking like a 4-0 sweep.
Wow.
It's LeBron is on. He's on a destiny, and he will not be stopped. These young punks on the Nuggets, they think they got hot. Guess what? You're not. You're about to play the real king, the real champ, against the real chumps. Sammy, do the Nuggets have a shot to go to the NBA Finals? And if it was, would it be a 2-point shot? Would it be a 3-pointer? Would it be at the hat? Would it be like half court, or would it be like under the other rim?
I think we're talking at least Dame Lillard, Steph Curry, Reigns type 3 if they got a shot, because nobody picked them against the Clippers. So I'm not gonna make the asshole move of just counting the Nuggets out when they won 2 game sevens on their way to the conference finals. But with that being said, I really don't see them, maybe making it a series, pushing it 6. If they win more than 1 game, I'll be surprised. But I don't see the brooms coming out. I see them showing some fight, and even if it's just for 1 game. But if the Lakers make a statement and come out there and win 4 straight times, even against a Denver team that no one was expecting, that still will be a statement within itself. But I like Denver to pull out at least 1.
In the other division, I guess you could say, the heat is on. Heat. They are. What is this? What is the series now? I think Miami leads it, or is it?
It's 2-1.
2-1.
Boston got a win last night. What you would want to call, hopefully, a series altering win, because they were looking like they were on the way to having things get done early in that series as well. But you had the young guys show up. Kemba showed up. Jace Tate, Jaylen Brown, pretty much the usual suspects. It was really just the more so just a win to show Miami that, hey, we're not rollovers. We're here in this series, and let's just slow down the hype. Because before that, I think Miami had lost one game in the entire playoffs. So if you're the Heat, you go up 3-0 on the Celtics. You're looking pretty confidently at an NBA Finals trip. So the Celtics pretty much made it a series and got pretty much the second thing closest to a most win as you have, which is a game 3 not going down 3-0. So it's 2-1 now, and we'll see. The series began last night.
Bam Adebayo is just a block machine, and they're such a young team, and they're a fun team to watch, the Heat, that is. My boy finally came back for Boston, Hayward. He only had 6 points, but he had a sweet mustache.
Yeah, and he also got a little jealous of all this Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson love. He's fucking looking around like, do you guys not fucking remember me? Like, I'm fucking great. I'm the white hope. And Tyler Hero is really playing like, I'm not trying to hear that shit. I'll be the first to admit I wasn't a fan of Tyler, but what he showed last night, he's looking like a hero for the Heat. I mean, pulling up threes from deep, off the dribble, can give it to you how you want. It looked like the Heat got a steal in him within that draft. So if you're Gordon Hayward, I know you were looking on the sideline like, man, I don't know who these white boys think they are, but they better look up some Gordon Hayward tape. But he didn't really make the impact that I thought he would. But I mean, he could make an impact on this series. I do believe in the talent of Gordon Hayward, but you got to play a little bit more better than what that stash looks like.
This just in, Dallas Cowboys come back out of the gutter, Sammy, and beat the Falcons 40-39. You're the Falcons.
Wow.
You couldn't hold a lead if it was strapped to your hands. Unbelievable. 39-40. Prescott shoos the haters away. 450 yards, only one touchdown.
450 yards.
450. I don't know how they got all their touchdowns. I don't know how they scored near the end. I guess it was a bunch of... I guess Prescott. So in the fourth quarter, it was Atlanta 36, Dallas 24. And then it was 39-24. At one point, this game was 29-10. So 39-24. They come back again, 30-39. Atlanta doesn't score again, and then they kick a field goal with 4 seconds left to win. Oh my God, Atlanta, that's rough.
When does their coach get fired? When does that happen?
Never, because I don't know why. Like they suck, and then they play good near the end of the year. So it's like
they're supposed to be a defensive team, and that just happened to them. If I'm the owner, I don't know. I'm thinking about letting them go by next Sunday. That's terrible.
Todd Gurley, 21 carries, 61 yards. Just leave that one there.
Come on, man. He may not be right, man. He may not be all the way right.
I shouldn't make fun, but it's Sports Savage. That's what we do. I apologize.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. The fat part's lost. It's lost forever. I don't care. Be sure to text the show. Did get a text from Tony. He asked if this was a disposable phone. And he goes, and then he answered it his own self and said, "Oh, it's a Google. That cost anything? Still too many F-bombs." Well, you know what, Dad? No, I'm not going to tell him that.
You know what?
Sorry, Tony. Okay. This is how it happens. This is the jungle. Like, it's raw emotion, and sometimes it goes a little over the top. But that's what we're here for, Sammy.
You don't like the heat? Get in the freezer.
Sammy, you miss anything before we gotta go?
No, man. We covered my Knights, man. We covered the Ravens. They're out there on the field right now, settling for a fucking field goal. Sorry, Tony, but that just made me mad. But yeah. Tonight's game, we got the Saints. We got the Aints.
Oh,
that's Monday. We got the
Aints.
Seahawks.
Cam versus
Patriots.
Cam versus Russ. I'm really looking forward to that game. That's my other pick. That's my other pick game that I wanted to watch. I don't know. I
got Cam. I got Russell. You picking against Russell Wilson?
I'm rooting for Cam this season. Like, I just am. Yeah. I want him to shut the haters up. And I was, and I'd never really rooted for Cam. Like, I was just thought he was a good player. But, like, the fact that he was so disrespected, worked so hard, came back, got on a team no one thought he would sign on, no one thought he would get along with, and no one thought he would win with. And he's done all three. So who's to say? And with the mind of Belichick, who knows what they're going to come up with?
Anything is possible when you.
Well, he's not an
Belichick
offensive coordinator.
A quarterback.
You know what I mean?
Belichick is the coach. He's
exactly.
The coach.
Call or text the show anytime, 470-391-4034. Like, subscribe to the show, comment on the show, text us, call us, share the show, email us. The Sports Savage at thesportssavageshow@gmail.com. Sammy's off the grid as always, but that's it for
Human
us.
contact. Come on, what's up?
Oh yeah, stay safe out there, but that's it. Bye.
Peace. Not a crook.